Hey guys, I was driving into work this morning, and just the other day I was talking with a student pastor, and we were swapping kind of war stories and horror stories and student ministry. Sometimes they're funny, sometimes they're not. But one of them got me thinking, and it just it hit me from the past. What would you do if you found out a leader was giving your students alcohol? And maybe some of you have dealt with this, but anytime I ever bring it up, I have people just go, what? And it's a longer story than that, but I had just started noticing, it's a longer story than what I'll tell here, but I had noticed that there were a group of students that were struggling with partying and drinking, and they would come to me and we would talk and we'd counsel, and then they'd move on, and then we'd keep counsel and they'd move on, that kind of stuff. And I just realized there wasn't any growth happening. So I go to their home group leader, because we did home groups, and I said, hey, can you help me here? And the leader told me, in about as many words, oh, well, they may be struggling with that because they all want to drink, so we give them alcohol. But not a lot. We just give them maybe a beer's worth, and they get to pick what they want to drink. But, better they do it with us than when they go to college and then go crazy. And I was like, okay, well, we've all heard that ridiculous argument. And I don't have anything against alcohol if it's legal and it's beneficial, permissible, the whole argument. But it was illegal. You don't give underage kids alcohol. And I just, this guy's name's Ted, but Ted was a lawyer. And I said, Ted, you know better than that. And Ted said, well, hindsight's 2020. I was like, no, Ted, foresight's 2020. When it's illegal, like, this isn't hiding Bibles and getting them into an illegal country. This is drinking and partying with your kids. Like, what's wrong with you? And I remember saying, well, I guess I'll talk to you soon. And I went to the executive pastor who I had known all of my life. And this was, I'd moved because he wanted me to come serve at one point. And I'd moved over to work with him. And so I thought, man, his is going to be, if anything, it's going to be an attaboy. It's like, oh, hey, great stand. I got your back. And I said, hey, I know that this lawyer gives some free legal advice to our church. I know that, which maybe it's not that good of legal advice, but he gives, legal advice. But I looked at him, I said, but I just want you to know that when he comes to you and tells you that I told him he couldn't serve anymore and that he wasn't allowed to volunteer, this is why. And I expected anything but what I got. And what I got was, well, Ian, listen, he used to be a Catholic, and Catholics view alcohol differently, and I think we just need to have some grace with him on this one. And, it's okay. He should be able to keep doing what he's doing. And I was like, what? Well, hold on. No, he shouldn't. Like, what? This isn't a biblical issue. This is a legal issue. Like, what are we talking about here? And it blew my mind. And what it made me think, like, I thought I was always going to deal with situations like that with Ted or with students. And I knew that would be the case. I don't know if I ever prepared myself for the moment that a pastor, not only that I knew, but a pastor above me who's supposed to lead and disciple me well, would compromise in that way, and then it'd be up to me. And that tended to be a theme at this church, and a theme at many churches, and you probably run into that. But I was sheepish, and I was nervous, and I left, and I probably should have had a Martin Luther stand, right? Here I stand, I can do no other. But I remember just thinking, how could this be okay? And I eventually, it's probably not the best way to handle it, but what I ended up doing was saying, hey, there's 3 weeks left in the semester. Thanks for all your service. Y'all have worked really hard. Why don't you take a break and just for an indefinite break, and I'll find other leaders. And they didn't lead again, and we were done with that. But it just made me think, as a whole, how do you get to that point? And all of us are in danger of that, and I'm in danger of that. And there are places the Spirit's always trying to convict, and places that I see. But at one point, we start making decisions that are wrong, okay, and it doesn't take a whole lot. Maybe it's even not as short of a slippery slope as we think, but oftentimes we make those decisions over and over again because we either trust and worship the pastor more than God, or we're afraid about the organization or what's going to happen, or our family. And I just want to encourage you that it is worth, no matter how you do it or if you do it poorly, that you solidify and galvanize your convictions according to God's word early, and that you're willing to lovingly but sternly not cross those boundaries. It's not worth it. It's not worth it to become like that. It's not worth it to slowly but surely believe things that are wrong and things that we shouldn't do, or to justify people's wrong, especially when it violates the people you shepherd. And I ended up never being able to have much of a relationship with those students because the well had been poisoned no matter how hard I tried. And so my encouragement to you is this: don't give up. Don't let people intimidate you. Hold fast, man, because God is working and using you, and it is not worth your integrity, and it isn't worth a promotion, and it isn't worth advancing in some small kingdom or denomination that you feel like is the step to greatness. Greatness is in obedience and in trusting what God has called you to do. Don't defile your conscience for somebody like that.